Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyam Devah Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatrah Sthirairangaistushtvagum sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti nah Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Anyway, good to be back after quite a while. So we are looking at the Mandukya Upanishad, mantra number 8. So let's chant it, and then we will begin the second class on this mantra. We did one class already. Soyam Atma Adhyaksharam Omkaraha Adhimatram Pada Matra Matrascha Pada Akara Ukara Makara Iti. Soyamatma Adhyaksharam Omkara Adhimatram Pada Matra Matrascha Pada Akara Ukaro Makara Iti. So here with this verse, the Upanishad completes a circle. Because if you look at the very first verse of the Upanishad, let's go into that. In fact, we'll read the first 3 or 4 verse mantras. Mantra number 1. Om ityetat akshara idagum sarvam tasya upavyakyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva yatcha anyat trikalatitam tadapi omkara eva. This is the first one. Now, second mantra. Sarvagum hi etat brahma ayam atma. Brahma saha ayam atma chatushpad. And then it describes the 4 padas. Jagrita sthanaha bahishpragyaham Saptangaha ekona vimshati mukhaha sthula bhuk vaishwanaraha prathama padaha. Then the second one, second pada was given in mantra number 4. Swapnasthanaha antah pragyahas. Again, saptangaha ekona vimshati mukhaha prabhivikta Pravivikta bhuktajasaha dvitiya padaha. So that was the second pada. Then the third pada was given in mantra number 5. Yatra suptahana kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Sushuptasthanaha ekibhutaha pragyanaghanaha eva Anandamayaha hi anandabhuk cheto mukha pragyaha tritiya padaha. And then this particular pada had two mantras, number 5 and 6. Eshaha sarveshwaraha, Eshaha sarvajnaha, Eshaha antaryami, Eshaha yonihi sarvasya prabhavavapyayavi bhutanam. Now the three padas were described. Then the fourth pada was given after a few karikas in the seventh mantra. In the seventh mantra, as you know, said, Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhataya pragyam, na pragyana ganam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, shantam, shivam, advaitam, chaturtham manyante, sa atma sa vigneya. So this is number 7. Now the analysis of the very beginning, which is Omkara. So the Mandukya Upanishad is well known to explain really two main topics. One is the significance of Omkara, Om. This is one. And the second one it talks about is the 3 stages of everyone's life during a 24-hour period. Jagrita sthana, Swapna sthana, and Sushupti sthana. Sthana. Sthana traya viveka. And then it says in the 7th mantra that the fourth, so the first 3 are the sthanas. Okay, so they could be called even padaha. Padaha means there are 4 segments as though. And the fourth one is not a separate segment, it is the basis of the first 3. That's why it says Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante. So we'll go into this in more detail today. So the fourth one is not a separate pada, it is in fact the basis of all the other 3 padas, and so it is called Manyante. It is sort of like considered to be a fourth one. Considered to be meaning it should be understood to be distinct from the other 3, but not really distinct. How can we say that distinct and not distinct? Very much like an actor that plays in a role is different from the role, but it is in fact the very basis of the role. In that manner, Chaturtham Manyante. And so this Chaturtham Manyante, which is called Nirakaraha, not having any akara, not having any sthana, is now captured by the name Om. So that in the beginning we said Omkara Sarvam Eva. You can just go back to it. Number first. Om iti etat aksharam idagum sarvam. So the whole thing is nothing but Om at all. Om it is. And then it says, let's describe so that you can understand how we mean it, not how we mean it, how you should understand it. And then the second verse, second mantra, basically puts all three of them in one place. It says, Sarvam hi etad Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma, Saha Ayam Atma Chatushpad Omkara Eva. Okay, so these are just the verses. So now let us start to understand the significance, the meaning of it. So one thing to notice is that Omkara is a name. Om is a name. Name of who? Name of Atma, Brahma, and everything, the whole world. So really the entire cosmos, which includes the individual, the creator, so-called creator in the sense that it was not like a willful, okay, now I'm going to create. It is the very nature of creation, that there is some intelligence, some material, and individually there are portions of it that form the individual person like you and I. So this whole thing is nothing but Omkara alone. So it's a name to the whole thing, a name to the individual, a name for the Parameshwara. Everything is one name which is called Om. So this is the significance of the Om that is given in the Mandukya Upanishad. And the Karika helps to explain how this is the case, because even the Mandukya, Padaha, Matraha, Padaha, Chatushpad, etc., is still too cryptic for us to grasp. So it needs to be understood. And understanding of that is really what the Mandukya Karika attempts to do. So now let us look into it. You know, very much like that, when you see this in the children, we just saw that I think we were in Sailorsburg, and one of the couples had a child which was like 4-year-old, and so the father immediately, when they met us, they asked the child, "Namaste karo, namaste karo." The child was saying, "I don't know," and so the father actually clasped her hand and said, "Put them together," because there is initially a training. What is namaste karo? Do namaste, do namaste. At that point, the child simply says, "Namaste," I don't know, but it's very interesting. The act of folding the hand and the name of this process, which is called namaste, is repeated by the parent. Namaste karo, namaste karo. In the beginning, the hands are together and all that. Very soon, after a while of repetition, and we all have to do that with the children, whenever you say namaste karo, they will do it on their own. And at this point in time, This is still not understood. Why should I do this? Why should I do namaste? But you just trust the parents, and the parents have to put a little bit of pressure and say, namaste karo, namaste karo. Then the child does this. As the child grows up, it starts to understand what namaste means. And namaste is a very beautiful greeting. Swami Dayanand used to say that. He was so funny. He says, you know what? Namaste is much better than shaking hands. Because, you know, when you shake hands, especially in these days of getting germs from the other person, COVID. In COVID days, you will never do shake hands with anybody, but you could do namaste. So you don't have to really shake somebody's hand and grasp them and so on and so forth, because you feel, oh my gosh, I better wash my hands. I don't know if he has a cold. I may get a cold. None of that. More significantly, namaste is a very beautiful gesture because it means namaha te. And the word namaha itself requires a lot of. Namaha means na aham, na mama, namaha. And te means to you. The real significance of namaste is I am in my own world, my own thoughts, all concerned about, okay, what am I doing, this, that, or the other. But when I meet a person and greet the person, I put that into the background. And now, by this gesture, I am saying, I am now paying attention to you. That's all. That's it. It's a very big thing, really. Because now, following the namaste, you should listen to what the other person, look at the person straight. You can't say namaste. You can't do that. You have to say namaste because you're looking at the person. More importantly, you now say, now I am with you. How are you? My thoughts are for you, with you. And let me suspend all the thoughts about myself. This is the meaning of namaste. But this whole namaste has to be first done through just a gesture. Later on, it is not a gesture. Later on, the gesture becomes like, you don't even have to fold the hands. You just say namaste. You can say it. It's a name. Same thing now let us apply to Om. So Om is a name for something much more of lots of very significant, most significant things that you can think of. I would say probably, just like you do namaste to a person, and meaning that you now say, my attention is to you. If we become proficient in chanting Om, as this is what the whole lesson is going to be, when we become skilled in understanding Om, then you know what Om would mean? Om would mean, may I now drop my thoughts of being a individual person and understand and put my attention to the whole thing, which includes me, the whole cosmos, Ishvara. I think that's the best way to say that. Ishvara means the whole thing. So the significance of chanting Om, in the beginning we just have to chant Om like the child does, Namaste, 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 Namaste. So we say Om, Om, Om. But if we become skillful means understanding the meaning of it, then when we chant Om, we understand my thoughts transform into something, a sense of completeness, not isolation. This is the process that we have to go through. So we will go through that now a little bit more. But one thing that we could do is how to chant Om. So let's do a little bit of a lesson on that. So what is said in the Vedas is the following. The best way to chant Om is like striking a gong. Like you have a metallic object, a metallic, like the Chinese have, and the Indians also have it, a flat metal, and then you strike it with something. Okay? When you do that, there is a sudden sound which now dissipates over the next few seconds. Like So the way to chant the Om is you chant the word Om and let your thoughts dissipate as the sound of a gong being struck. So something like this. Om. But then at the end of that, don't leave any gaps. So, just like even if something is struck, I think I find that the Tibetans and many of these disciplines, when they chant, even in China or Japan, they do it very nicely. Buddhists do it very well. Where you strike something, I should really get something. I wasn't prepared anyway. I don't have it. I don't have a metal object. But you can visualize, you strike a metal object and you strike it at a frequency that the sound continues on. Doom, doom. You don't let it die down. Even that was a bit too slow. Doom, doom. Something like that. So the method of ucharanam, of chanting Om, should be Om, Om, Om. And the method of chanting should be such that internally you feel the sound of Om that is continuous. It is not discontinuous. The wake of the sound should be there. You should not say Om, 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 not like that. But neither should you lengthen it to such a degree that there is a time gap between the sounds of the Om in your mind. And you can do it verbally. You can say Om, Om. Just a couple of things. I think you already know this. There are certain people that chant Om as A-U-M separately. No. Our acharyas have all said that's not the way to do it. It should just be Om, Om, Om. And then later on you can just do it silently within yourself. You can do it with the lips barely, not any outward sound, but internal sound with the lips you can do. Or the third one is you'd make no sound whatsoever. You just chant internally. So these are just the method of chanting Om. Okay. Now, while we are on that subject, I do want to you know what? I think I will wait until the right context comes in. All right, now let's start looking at the meaning of it. The eighth mantra that we started. Okay. Okay, so one thing is that everything in this creation has to have a name. So this is the advanced creation of a human being. So the status of the human being means that there is in fact a name of objects to be learned. So this is different from, let's say, the animal kingdom. Birds, dogs, that communicate with sound, but there is no name for it. Really, sometimes I'm just sitting outside and I see the birds chirping. And you know, they actually have a language. My nephew, my younger brother's younger son, he did a PhD in ornithology. He's an ornithologist. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce ornithology. He's a bird watcher. And now after PhD and so on, instead of becoming a professor, he's gone into software and he's given up, but for a number of years, and he's still very skilled on that. So he was telling me that the birds have their own language. And you can hear that when you're outside. You don't understand it, I don't understand it, but the birds do. But they don't have a name for it. What happens is that when your progression of your progress comes up to a point where you're born as a human being, part and parcel of that is to learn names for objects. And we don't have any transaction for things for which we don't have any names. So the child also has to be taught language and a name. And then comes, so just like the word namaste, then comes vyavahara. So vyavahara means your transactions, your ability to have some relationship. All of that is with words. Even your thoughts will eventually have names. So the names are very important. So now the question is, what is Om? So as the first verse says, Omkara sarvam hi etat. He says the whole thing is nothing but Om. So it now has certain parts to it that comprises the whole. And the parts, as you know, are as follows. It is A, U, and M, Makara. You can even say Ma, but there is no A in the end, so it is A, U, M. And A designates the waker. See, it designates the waking person. You and I at this point is designated by, it has a name. So you see, that's the thing. Every name has an object. We've already just told that. So object means some kind of a form, some recognizable entity that one can transact. So the A stands for a recognizable person that can do vyavahara, you and I. So so this is what is called Vishwa. So the word Vishwa stands for a waker person. Okay, so that's A. We have a dreamer person. Each one of us becomes a dreamer. And I have been saying this now for a while, that I think a very good sadhana is, if possible, try to remember even a little snippet of your dream. That happened last night also. Same thing happened to me too. And I'm almost like requesting Ishvara to please let me remember snippets of my dream. And I'm beginning to get into a habit, very useful habit, honestly, for me. Very useful habit before I really launch into the day. Okay, sometimes even just lying on the bed before we could get up, I request my mind to please remember the dream that I might have had. And I think on an average we dream like, I don't know, 6 or something. I don't remember how much. I think there is a clinical study, depending on how much you sleep, how many times you dream. But last night also I had a very dream, and the dream was that I am coming back with a friend, and we are coming down the hill, and we want to reach back for some event anxiously, and we are making shortcuts. That's all the snippet that I had. And my friend and I were just saying, I think let's go this way. No, that is too steep. Let's not go that way. Let's go. This is it. That's all I remember. But you know something? it is so useful to do the following. As soon as you get up, you say, my God, because I remember the feeling with my friend and I that should we take this? Isn't it going to be too steep? So look at that. In the dream, there is a path that I'm cognizing which is too steep and it has pebbles in it. I remember that. I was telling my friend, I think that is too pebbly. It has got too many. I think we need a smooth surface. And I think he might have said, no, I think our shoes are okay. So there is an object called a hill, and then my own feelings that is it too dangerous? And I still remember that I'm anxious to get back quickly of something. I don't remember what the event was. But we are going down I recalled all that. So it was a very real experience. And then the second part of that you have to do is to say, oh my gosh, I am sitting here and I am looking at the bedroom and I have to wash my face and then go down and have my coffee. And isn't that also an experience? And I don't dwell too much on it until I start to study and meditate in this same place that I'm teaching. I put my own, for about an hour or so, I do my reading, and there I go much deeper. But just the very few seconds of making a comparison between my dream experience and my waking experience is very useful, because it starts to loosen its hold on me. This is the right way to do it. It's not I'm doing something funny. This is what is supposed to be done. We are captured by this experience of this is me, this is my room, this is my house, this is my spouse, this so on, captured by it. But it's fleeting, it's going to go. It's like a dream. Anyway, coming back to this, the letter U stands for you as the dreamer. In this particular example, myself, anxious to go down very quickly, but fearful that I might slip, is the dreamer. That's me, not anybody else. So that's U. Then the third one is Makara. And the Makara stands for same person who's not behaving, not acting, not transacting, but just enjoying himself, herself, but not really be aware of that. And so that is the deep sleep sleeper. So there is a name for all of them corresponding to the experience that we all have. All of that is contained in the word Om. So Om really consists of Om. If you do that, if you combine them, then the sound that comes out is Om. Another thing that has been pointed out is that there is actually a distillation of the entire Vedas in 3 stages. First stage is the details of all the Upanishads and the Smriti, Puranas and so on, the entire thing. This is the first stage. if you want to really just distill it in a mantra, then it is said the best mantra to distill it so you can chant it and get some results from it is the Gayatri mantra. So the second stage of the distillation of the entire Vedas is the Gayatri mantra. And the Gayatri mantra should be properly chanted. I tell you, I wince, I shy away from people that don't know how to chant it. It's very important to chant it correctly with the Vedic, you know how to do it. So if you want, I can just quickly do it. Om Bhur-bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur-bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. So when I greet the sun, it's been my habit all my life. I chant the Gayatri mantra 3 times, and other times of the day, if possible, I chant it also. So that is the second stage of the distillation. You know what the distillation, the third and the final stage of capturing all of the Vedas is? Om. So the Om is the distillation of the Gayatri mantra, and the Gayatri mantra is the distillation of the entire Vedas. This is why Om is considered to be a very good, very important Ucharanam. Ucharanam means you're chanting, either internally, quietly, or even externally. So this is the Omkara. Okay. Now, what we should think about is the effect of chanting with meaning of the Om. Okay, so let's look at the process of understanding the meaning. You know, just like in that Namaste example, the process of simply saying Namaste, whether you fold your hands or not, you can say Namaste, Namaste ji. You know, people say that. When we say Namaste, we don't have to fold the hand. It's nice to do that, but you can just say Namaste, Namaste ji. But even the saying of Namaste means that behind that there is a feeling that now I'm with you, as we were discussing earlier. So here the question is, what is the real meaning of Ucharanam of Om? Now let us look into that. That is the real stuff. We haven't even touched that yet. All right. So now let us look at the meaning of Om in 3 stages. Okay, 3 stages. And we went over this in the Salisbury retreat on a different context, which is Drigdrishya Viveka. But the concepts are the same. And the 3 stages are, this is after really studying a lot, listening to Swami Akhandananda ji, looking at what Swami Dayanand had taught, all of that. This is what I feel is the right way to look at it. And Swami Akhandananda actually very, very directly points out that this is the process that one has to do. So the three words are, let's look at the three words first and then we will understand, is dhyanam, nididhyasanam, and jnanam. These are the three Sanskrit words. Dhyanam, nididhyasanam, and jnanam. Okay? What is dhyanam? And how is that different from nididhyasanam? And how is that different from jnanam? So let's look into that. Dhyana means mental transactions. Transactions can be physical, where you touch something, grab a phone, or mental transactions means thinking, reacting, asking something, saying yes, no. All these are mental transactions. And our life is full of mental transactions. In fact, most of the time it is mental transactions alone. Now, a form of the mental transactions is where you focus your thoughts into a given topic. So a prayer is a dhyanam. A very focused, understandable prayer is upasana. Let me interrupt this talk by something occurs in my mind, and let me kind of explain that, and I'll come back to dhyanam and nididhyasanam. So it is said. So this is the difference between karma and upasana. There's something I had read, not only read, I understand that quite well from my perspective. So let me explain that. So it is said in the Vedas, even in the Bhagavad Gita, that when you leave this life and you have been doing karmas that are conducive to you, you will be given a place in heaven where your enjoyment will be tremendous. As I said, karma-based heaven. And there is a superior way to go to the next level of heaven, which is based on upasana, not just karma. And what is the distinction between them? The distinction is that if you do karma, good karma means that you're ethical, you speak the truth, all those kinds of things that we know about. And if you do that, then you are given a higher experience in your next life. And at the end of that experience, because all these higher experiences which are called swarga, heaven in the Sanskrit called swarga, suvarga. Su means good, varga means a place, an experience. So swarga, you will be gone after your karmas is exhausted. It's like going to Hawaii. You enjoy, but after a while you have to come back. You cannot stay there forever. So what happens is when you do karma, you go to Swargaloka, and then after the Swargaloka tenure is over, you come back to the Manushya Loka. And when you come back to the Manushya Loka, you're not any better off. You have to start all over again. So this is the karma-based Swargaloka. Then comes Upasana-based Swargaloka. What is Upasana? It's a mental transaction where you focus on thoughts of Ishvara. You have really a complete Shraddha that there is a Ishvara. I don't know where the Ishvara is. So this is where you do Dhyanam. So one very important thing to see, Dhyanam is done for things that are not in front of you. They are paroksha vastu. That's what Dhyanam is. You think about something. And you can transact in full person, but even the transaction is based on something to be done, something to be accomplished, something not there right now. There'll be a lot of significance of this as we progress. So dhyana means a focus on things that are not in front of us. Now, if the things and entities that are very meaningful, including Ishvara, the creator, the person in charge of the whole cosmos, the one who made the sun and the moon and me and all that, if I do dhyanam, for that is called upasana. Now, if you are proficient in doing that, proficient means that you're sincere in doing upasana, visiting temples, learning how to chant, and just leading a life where you have shraddha towards whatever happens is okay. All those kinds of things, more than karma. So upasana is a superior form of karma. Karma also includes a lot of mental activity. Upasana is a superior form of this mental activity. If you do upasana, the Vedas say if you go to a Swargaloka, first of all, you will enjoy a better experience than the karma-based Swarga. More importantly, that also will end because all Swargas are temporary. When you come back from the Swarga, you will have better antakarana shuddhi. This is really an important thing. So the important thing means that if you're doing dhyanam and you are now starting to think in terms of a prayer through upasana, then you will come back after the swarga, but you will be in a better situation. You will really get to jnana more quicker. Your mind will be ready to understand. This is the detour I wanted to tell you. Now let's go back to dhyanam and nididhyasanam and jnanam. So that was dhyanam. Dhyanam means thinking about objects and entities and experiences that you don't have now, but you would like to have it. This is dhyanam. See the difference between dhyanam and nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam is that kind of dhyanam in which you also see the presence of the Jivatma, which is the same as Paramatma. You understand through the study what is the difference between Atma and Anatma, between me and the world, and you understand that there is something that I understand about the unchanging nature, the Drikswarupam of the Atma. If your dhyanam includes the presence of the Drik, not just the Drishya as in that example, where you also include at every point in time, you think about the unchanging nature. Like for example, you say, I was a child. Supposing you're discussing somebody. Somebody says, tell me about your life, and says, when I was a child. That's dhyanam in a way. But suppose in the middle of, even if you're thinking about yourself, not talking to anybody, in the middle of that thought, you'll say, my goodness, I am the same person that I was the child. It's not a different child, it's me. And now I'm an older person. What's going on? There is something which is the same. Something is different, something is the same. What is the same? What do I look like? If you do this kind of mental activity, inquiry, where the Atma is very much part and parcel of your inquiry, of your vichara, of your thinking, that is called nididhyasana. That is nididhyasana. And at this point, let me point out, this is what was also, we looked into this in the in a couple of other texts that we also did, but let me just tell you about this. Dhyanam, actually a prayer. So upasana, let's look at upasana, not any dhyanam, but a particular form of dhyanam called upasana. Upasana should be done with some discipline. Like a prayer to, supposing you have a temple in your own home. Supposing you have a small temple. I have one for Dakshinamurti, for example. And you may have it for Ganesha or for Krishna or Rama, whatever. Supposing you have a small temple, or if you go to an outside temple. There you should do it when you are relatively pure. Hopefully you've taken a bath in the morning, you have brushed your teeth, and you have worn clothes nicely. This is the time where you sit down. You should not do it any time, not lying down, not anything. There are rules for how this would become effective. You should be clean, you should be mindful. There are times for it. You should do it in the morning, or perhaps Sandhya Vandanam in the evening, something like that. There are some restrictions in dhyanam, in upasana. Vedas say there are no such restrictions for nididhyasana. Excuse me. No such restriction. It does say that even nididhyasanam, when you are lying down in bed, is not very effective. It does say that, but you can do it. There's no restrictions. Nididhyasanam should be done at any time, at any place. I think we studied that in Aparoksha Anubhuti, Nididhyasanam, very beautiful chapter. And the Mandukya Karika, Swami Khandananda again points out that Nididhyasanam is, the more frequently you do it, it should become part and parcel of your life. So Nididhyasanam. Now we come to the third one, which is called Jnanam. Dhyanam, Nididhyasanam, and Jnanam. Okay. I'm going to grab something. I'll be right back. It's something in my throat. Just give me 1 minute. So the process of Dhyanam and Nididhyasanam is that it culminates in Jnanam. Jnanam means a direct experience of something. I'm just using the word experience, English word, but it is called upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means a direct gain of something. So the experience, this is very interesting to see, important to see. Dhyanam can only be done for something which you do not see directly. But if you see something directly, it does not require jnanam. Like, for instance, I have this cell phone right in front of me. Does it require any dhyanam? No. You cannot say prayer, I pray that I will see. You can do that, your eyes closed. I pray that my cell phone should be visible to me. You want to open the eyes. There is no prayer involved in seeing the upalabdhi. What you can do is to say, supposing your cell phone is covered up, you'll say, I don't know where it is, or can I please, I wish I could really understand, see where my cell phone is. Then you find out it is right here. After you look at it, there is no dhyanam. In fact, there is no nididhyasanam also. So nididhyasanam, look at this thing. Nididhyasanam is a process where you yourself are not directly visible and understood by you. So it is appropriate to do nididhyasanam about that form of you which is not in your direct experience. This is nididhyasanam. But what happens is that with the process of nididhyasanam, which is omkara, understanding all the chaturthas, all the padas, etc., you come to know that this is me. My God, I was searching for myself. The best way to look at it is understanding Parameshwara. Swami Akhandananda said something very beautiful. He said, when the blessing of Ishvara will fall on you, when he becomes visible to you. And he can only become visible to you because he's been visible, he's been there all along as you, but you don't recognize it. No, this is not Ishvara, it must be elsewhere. So I have to do dhyanam, I have to do nididhyasanam. But in the case of the self, the Atma, can dhyanam and nididhyasanam be appropriate? Nididhyasanam maybe yes, but dhyanam no. Because the dhyanam is only appropriate for things that are different from you. And acquisition of things that are different from you does not yield a permanent understanding of who you are. It comes and goes, that is our experience in life. It is temporary. I cannot really hold on to it. So it is not appropriate for my total understanding of moksha. I am not different from myself. So dhyanam at this point should yield to second stage, which is nididhyasanam. And nididhyasanam should yield to the third stage, which is self-knowledge. And as self-knowledge, just as in the case of the cell phone, if you see yourself as you are, do you need to do prayers? Do you need to do upasana on something that you already are? You already are that. Nothing has to be acquired, nothing needs to be joined, nothing needs to be gained. It is the gain of the already gained. That is jnanam. So therefore, the upasana, the dhyanam is all meant for jnana. So as Swami Akhilananda says, if someone thinks of Paramatma as a way, there the result is upasana. But if someone knows Paramatma as the self, then upasana is not necessary. Then nididhyasanam, culminating in jnanam, is the result. So while chanting Om, the dhyanam or Vishwa, Taijasa and Pragya can be done as the first stage. Then Nididhyasanam means that you are the waker, you are in fact the Taijasa, the dreamer, because it can be anybody else, it's you. And you in fact are the Pragya, not anything else. So this line of inquiry, because you see what happens is that until we do this under the auspices of the Shastra, our minds are all over the place. No, that's not me. So what happens is you look at falsely that the waking state is the reality and the dream state is something else. I don't know what it is. No. So the way to understand that is to really stand apart from all the three stages of my experience during the day and begin to see that I am the same one that takes away all three forms, and I come back to I have a non-changing aspect of which is Turiya, Nanta Pragyamna, Bahish Pragyamna, Ubhata Pragyam. Pragyana Ganam, now Pragyana Ganam. Chaturtham Manyase Sa Atma Sa Vigyayaha. This is what I have to see. So, we will finish this, I think, in the next class, where the circle of the basic name and its meaning with a resorting to Omkara is the eventual path to Jnana. This is what we have to see. This is how important Omkara is. And this is why in the beginning of each action, if you go to a homa, the first one is Om. The last one is Om. In the beginning also, there's different kind of things. If you start studying something, a book, then the most important one is Om, because that is the name of the whole thing. You know, if you can call it the cosmos, you can say cosmos is the name of the whole thing. No. Cosmos is not the name. You know why cosmos is not? It's not that because it is English. You can call it Vishwa or Jagat. Even Vishwa and Jagat is not the whole thing. Om is. You know why? Because Omkara leaves out the Atma. I'm sorry. Omkara includes the Atma, Jagat and Vishwa leave out Atma. In the Sailorsburg, I wanted to do this, but I forgot to have a separate session. We were so busy. If you look at the Dakshina Murti, so it has all the aspects of Vishwa. So you have the sun, you have the Akasha, Vayu, etc., all of them, the sun and the moon. And then there is an eighth one. And I remember that the first time when Swami Dayanandji explained, when we actually installed the Vigraha of the Dakshinamurti, and I still recall there were only a bunch of us, like maybe about 20, 25 people, and he was explaining the significance of each of the parts of the Vigraha. And he said, you know who the eighth one is? You. Don't forget you. Because without that Atma, without that consciousness, the Devata also will not be there. That we will see in more clearly as we go further. But this is the significance of Om, which started with the first verse, went into the parts of it, is now being summarized in mantra number 8 onwards. And I think the next few mantras are not that deep in their understanding. They are simply the understanding of the parts of this. And so we will do that very quickly. I don't think we will spend that much time. So we should be wrapped up with the Mandukya Upanishad in the next few weeks. And then we will see what else. You already have a WhatsApp message that I sent out. I have some thoughts on what to do going forward. And we will look into that. So with that, we'll close the class today. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam. Superior way to go to the Oh, nice. So nice to see you all. Wonderful. Happy that we are back. For those of you that are in the Bay Area, I think we are planning to have regular on face-to-face sessions. We're working on that. So something should be decided in the next few weeks. So we will meet perhaps once a month. Maybe that's the right frequency. We can adjust the frequency to be more or less. And then the sessions for the rest of the Drikdrishya Viveka will be done not in a streamed fashion, but recorded and for later viewing. And if we want to do that on a regular one, we can also consider that. So in any case, all the best to you, and we will see you not next week because we have a family trip outside, in the following week onwards. Okay? Hari Om.